thank you. I start with my introduction. So I'm Saket Bansal. I have been teaching this agile, Scrum, project management, scaled agile, discipline agile, many of these things, including Kanban for a while. I come from a development background from last 7-8 years. I am into consulting, coaching, and training business. So that's what I do. And today I'm happy to explore together some of the questions which you have based on your understanding and exploration related to agile. So I go one by one, how to time box a Scrum event review and retro go on and on. Yeah, so this is something we can get started with. So anyone want to talk about it? So the situation is that you might have studied in your Scrum classes, CSM class, that each event in Scrum has a time box, especially review, retro, depending upon the size of a sprint. And the question is asking that as a Scrum Master, I have a challenge to keeping it into that particular box. Yeah, anyone can relate to or want to talk a little more about this challenge?
Actually, that was my question, which I had posted. So even if I keep it for, like, let's say whether it is half an hour or 1 hour, but still people just go on and on. They keep on discussing, they keep on trying to like solutionize everything then and there. But it becomes very difficult sometimes.
Perfect. So, so many of us who have learned Agile and Scrum, and you might have seen that there are many meetings in Agile and Scrum space. Earlier, you were doing documentations, and now you are expected to do events, meetings, and all. And many of you may realize, for many organizations, meetings were already pain. You know, it was already a good time waste. People go here and there, and and many times you don't get any output in the meetings. And now with Agile world, the meetings are more. So if we don't handle them well, it could become a good time wasting process. Now, how do we deal with it? As a Scrum Master or a facilitator, whatever title you carry, doesn't matter. We need to improve our facilitation skills. Now, what these facilitation skills are about? See, you have a meeting duration, say 4 hours. You are running a sprint planning meeting. How do you design that 4 hour in a way so that you have a plan in place that initially we will do this, then we will do this, and after that, this is how I will propose a breakout sessions. This is how people will discuss, and ultimately they will aggregate everything at the end, and this is how we will take the whole process done. In a simple way, even a one tool, which is like a pie chart agenda. You can say, okay, if this is the whole time we have in the meeting, how are we going to distribute our time? So what goes in the first pie, what goes into second pie, what goes into the third pie, and finally we reach to the agreement. So this is also a small tool to get started with that, guys. Let's have an agreement and planning based on that. Because if the meetings are not productive, many of the participants might also be not feeling good about it, because ultimately they are not reaching to some of the desired objective. Now, to support this thing further, I can suggest some of the future learning material, as well as like facilitation training is definitely a process of doing it. But you can also explore some of the websites. So I'm sharing some of the URLs, and at the same time, I may want to show you those websites as well in here, so that you know what are they and how can you use them. So there are some of the websites which provide you the ideas to organize conversations, and you may not be able to use them directly as it is, but you can design your meetings around that. So one of the website is a liberating structure. I will also put into the chat box. So there is a liberatingstructures.com. So you can explore this particular site. You go down, and it has a menu of doing various activities. So whenever you click, say you want to make people talk, there is a 1 to all, something like this. You click, it opens up a page, and you can understand how possibly I can run this particular thing. Now, it won't give you direct receipt for your sprint planning meeting, and the structure which you use today may change for the next sprint planning meeting, but it provides you this structure. Yeah, I pause still here. If there are any questions, I do have to share 2 more websites which can help you in creating a better facilitation plan for your Scrum events. Good till here. I'm just noting down these website in the notepad so that once the briefing is over, I can share them in the chat box. The another website you can explore is a gamestorming.com. So gamestorming is also providing a visualized approach to conduct meetings and workshops. And on the similar way, it also has a variety of options to create collaborative and structure. For example, parking lot. So we have an agreement on a tool called parking lot. So we start using it, but it has to be agreed in the beginning itself. So you can find out various approaches to facilitate and create a structure using a gamestorming.com's options. There are various options: games for problem solving, games means these are facilitated activities. They can help you to find out various possible approaches to run your meetings. Yeah. So this is the second website I want to recommend you to explore, and this is good for anyone, be it a project manager role or be it a Scrum Master role. It is good for anyone. Yeah. Okay. Now the third website I am sharing is a retrospective site, funretrospectives.com. So funretrospective.com is also collection of activities and games, primarily around retrospectives, because retrospectives is little more creative process to bring ideas as forward. So this is something also you can explore. So in a simple word, if the meetings are not finishing on time and not achieving the desired objectives, you may want to look into the details and use some of these tools to create a structure around it, improve facilitation skills of facilitating conversations, go prepared, and take an agreement from people. It is not like that you are pushing your agenda, but you are helping them to organize their meetings. Okay, question, comments.
I think that pie chart which you showed, I think I can try that. That looks so that it will help me out. I'll definitely try that.
And this is like just a starting point, So I purposefully showed at least one activity to you, but there are hundreds of such activities. Yeah. So
thanks.
The pie chart is a 30-second one, but the other ones are little detailed one.
Okay.
Great. So I do see one question coming in the chat box as well. So let me finish the Jamboard questions one by one, and then I take the chat box question as well. Yeah. So we go back to our Jamboard. So I mark this thing done. Yeah. So move it towards this area and see something next. Okay. How can we compare the difference between product backlog item and story points? Great. Okay, we can take this. Anyone want to talk about it? What is the difference between product backlog item and user story? Open to all.
User story is what I think is the user requirement basically, and product backlog is something which is coming from for the product backlog, you will be implementing something and there will be some backlogs.
Yeah. So in a simple way, go ahead.
Yeah, user story is part of product backlog item. It is one of the product backlog item.
Perfect. So product backlog is something, many times it is called wish list, many times it's a running list, something which you want to do at some point in time. Yeah. And then each product backlog has something. Yeah? It's a collection of things. Now, what are these collection of things? What should we call them? Now, in a simple way, anything which is in the product backlog can easily be called product backlog item. Yeah, PBI. We call it product backlog item because it's a item in the product backlog. Now, simple. Now, the second question comes in. What kind of product backlog items there could be? Yeah, and there comes the user story. So you can say a user story is a one type of product backlog item. There could be other types also. We will explore what are those other types. So you may have a user story, which is a small one. Now, what is an essence of user story? It is primarily written or discussed or elaborated over a period of time from the perspective of who is going to use this application, from a user perspective, from user persona perspective. So as a job seeker, I want to search a job using a keyword so that I can find an appropriate job. Or as a working professional, I want to schedule my breakfast so that I get it every day 9 a.m. from the delivery provider. So this is something like we are exploring, and these are the small piece of slice, you can say small slice of value which my system, my application will provide to the people. So if your product backlog items, which are small, presenting small slice of value, they can be called a user story. Now, from Scrum perspectives, you don't have to use user story. You can use user story and you can live without user stories also. Your product backlog item can have something else, which may represent use cases, which may be in a different way of facilitating continuous exploration of requirement. Now, user story is a common tool because it facilitates small delivery of value on a continuous basis. Any question, comment till here? Great. Now, what are the possible other things which can be a product backlog items? Yeah, it could be some technical work. Yeah. So sometime it is called spike, sometime it is called proof of concept. It could be something like that, which is useful, but doesn't produce direct user value at this point in time. It could be something, a defect. You might be fixing some defect which you need to work on. So there is a possibility of that kind of product backlog items. There could be another type of backlog item. Sometime even you want to do some documentation, yeah, which is needed for compliance, yeah. So there could be many such items. There could be a big product backlog items, which is not a small value of story, which is many times is called epic, which is big, means it won't fit into a small sprint. It may require further disaggregation before it starts getting inside the sprints. I stop here. Yeah. Any question, comment for this particular topic? Good. Yeah. We move next. Yeah. We move to our backlog. Or a task board, I would say. So we go here. Now, should Scrum Master moderate between PO and EM? Anyone want to elaborate that? What does this mean? What is EM? Engagement Manager, I guess?
Yes, this is my question.
Go ahead.
Many of the times during refinement or planning, when the product owner, PO, and the engineering manager is there, for any kind of technical clarifications as well. So sometimes, not always, sometimes they don't agree onto a certain approach, even if it is for a story. So at that point of time, is it the Scrum Master who is supposed to intervene in between or not?
Okay, then in your view, if not the Scrum Master, who else can do it?
Yeah, so if yes, then how?
So in a simple way, if there is someone else who can take care of it, the Scrum Master may let that person take care of it. If no one else can take care of it, then it becomes an impediment, then it's something which is blocking your team from moving forward. And Scrum Master is responsible for removing impediments. The impediment things, anything which is blocking the team from moving towards a sprint goal is something a Scrum Master should look at. Yeah. So yeah, that's the point. So he should facilitate that, or he should have someone who can facilitate it. It's not necessarily a one person doing it. And I see it's just more about an organization. So where you see how people fits into. But in general, people who carry the title, I'm not saying Scrum Guide role, I'm using a special word, title. In general, the people who carry a title like Scrum Master or a project manager many times, they do get into a conflict management roles because they need to ensure and facilitate conversations amongst the stakeholders. So it usually get included there. Yeah. Facilitation and conflict management skills are something good for today's leadership. Any role, be it a Scrum Master, Agile coach, and even if project manager. Yeah.
Sure.
And anyone has a comment? Thank you. Anyone has a comment on this part? Feel free. by the time I look for.
Just a question here.
Please.
On this. So what you're saying here, what the question was, that impediment removal is done by Scrum Master if it comes this. So in traditional, PM talks about project manager doing various conflict management, things. In this is what Scrum Master is also supposed to do then.
Yeah. See how this is looked at, and again, this is too much dependent upon the way organizations are designed. But in general, it's very difficult to say what all task comes under project manager, because each company has a different job description for project manager, So in some cases, in some organization, project managers are strong guys. In some organization, they are weak coordinator kind of guy. They move from here and there and just push the things forward. So it's difficult to just create one type of project manager. But in general, people associate project manager is a powerful guy and also working with external people and guiding team to do what they should do. That's a generic understanding of a project manager, which I am taking as a reference. Now, if that is the idea, the stakeholder engagement related to requirement, prioritization, working with those different people is a product owner's role in a Scrum framework. So that part of the project manager role, typical project manager role, moves to the product owner. The coaching, mentoring, facilitating, resolving problem, helping teams to develop and find best way to move forward goes to Scrum Master. So that part was many times associated with the project manager. That part goes to the Scrum Master. And many times project managers are also expected to create a detailed task, work breakdown structure, and allocate work to people and tell them what to do. Now, this part of engagement and management, Scrum expect over a period of time, the team should take care of themselves. Now, I'm using a word over a period of time. Many times it doesn't happen on the day one. Maybe many of you may not learn Scrum in that way. You may assume that day one onwards, everybody will take and plan themselves. But initially, Scrum Master may need to teach, mentor, facilitate them to reach to a stage soon so that they start taking care of their own work planning and assignment. So that part is something different. Yeah. Hope that answers.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Great. I move back. So this is done, and we have one in the chat box. This is a technical question. Is it required to have a designation as a Scrum Master to go for Advanced Scrum Master? So this is a simple technical question, which yes, no kind of. So the answer is no. You don't need to necessarily have a designation. It's about a role. So many times, in many organizations, the designation still remains manager 1, manager 2, executive X, and senior manager Y and PM Y. So they may remain those kind of designation. What we call it role. So in a team, are you working as a facilitator and mentor and coach and working as a Scrum Master as a role? Then you are kind of technically good for doing Advanced Scrum Master. So it's not a designation. You need to be having a role experience of around 1 year to go for Advanced Scrum Master. Yeah. Now, some question, at least one question I see in the chat box, which I am bringing, and looks like it's an interesting one. I'm bringing it on the floor. Let me put it also in a chat box. Sorry, in the Jamboard, so all of you can see it rather than I alone. So I move this here and bring this one as a thing to move on. Now, when responding to an RFP in a competitive environment, traditionally, we do detailed estimation with profit margin and then submit a fixed price offer. What can I do this if I have to do it a project in agile way, getting story points? Yeah. Anyone has answer before I share my view? Share, guys. Yeah. What possibly you do?
So is it not a responsibility for Scrum Master, correct?
Okay,
Based
so
on
we
the
can say
question?
Scrum Master figure it out how should we do it, yeah? Okay, one opinion. Yeah, we will explore. Any other voice on this matter?
There are there are different sections in the RFP while
Yeah.
responding to the RFP that could be put into the product backlog items for each of the responses that required to be responded to the agency or the customer.
Perfect.
And at the same time, we have to, there are certain RFPs where you have to submit, there is a system of work, and there is also that pricing proposal. And also you may need to have to submit the resumes to the customer.
I know,
or the prospective
and they will
candidate.
interview also maybe later on.
Interview. So this could be all part of the product backlog items, one by one. So you can check out like how you are clearing out these items by you yourself creating, going to attempt or respond to the RFP, these following sections. Maybe that is one of the way.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing your opinion. What I say here is, see, any process, be it waterfall, be it Scrum, or be it anything in the future, will not directly fit into the way we work our business. Yeah. So this is something we need to explore. How do we fit that? Now, the essence of Agile and Scrum is the scope will evolve over period of time. The requirements will evolve over period of time. That's an essence. Now, even if you follow a waterfall or I would not say a waterfall, some other process, but where requirements will evolve over period of time, it's difficult to put a proposal in the beginning. Yeah, because people don't know. And I think many of you might have done it. You get a one-page requirement and customer expects a proposal from you based on the one page. And then and you also know what happens in the later stage. As a smart vendor, you will put a lot of terms and condition, you will write your assumptions, and that is how you go with it. And maybe even with an Agile and Scrum, you will do the similar thing. You will do your due diligence, you will put your best possible visual thing, and you will put various ideas that, okay, these are the things which can probably make us relook at it, and the way we do traditionally. Now, what is the difference then if it is a same thing? The only difference is if you agree to do an execution using Scrum way, then you will have frequent inspect and adapt, frequent check acts, and that will make the progress visible. That will also make the client empowered to change the idea. Maybe in a fixed price contract, it will cost them some money. It may not come for free, but at least they can see and do something about it in advance. Now, if they have a very crystal clear idea, now they know what they have to do, assuming you have some system which is already in a place and it just needs to be replaced by some different technology, or you have a customized, you have a off-the-shelf software which needs to be configured for the different utilities. So you may have a pretty fair ideas. In those cases, you may still go predictive. You may not go into adaptive way, but when you have a pure adaptive thing, then you need to design a contract which facilitate adaptive things, and based on the visibility, whatever you have in the initial stage, you try to form a contract which allows you more flexibility as you go forward. Now, it may not be very popular thing to do, but in the real world, you also have a mixing of Agile. Sometimes you have, no, we don't want to listen about the cost. The scope should be fixed in the beginning, but you can execute in Agile, which may look not good, but it is good in a way than just doing execution also in a predictive way. So I have seen, especially some government projects where the initial requirements were fixed in a waterfallish way or predictive way, but the execution was iterative. So it means you have a list of things which the way one of the participant was explaining, and you created a backlog out of it, and you started executing it after sprint by sprint, and many time after 2-3 sprint execution, those backlog items starts changing. But in those cases, you may have some contractual or price implication related to that. Any follow-up question or comment on this topic?
No, so this question was from me, Saket, Shivang, and what I understand from you is that maybe in practical terms we are talking about execution in an agile way, but let's say the sales part, the pre-sales part, where you have to do the estimations and submit the commercial offers, there you can still be doing a predictive or something and add those in your proposal that okay, how you want to achieve it, your team will do it and everything.
Perfect.
No, what I wrote separately in the question as well. If we are doing this, and we just get some ethics from client, you will not get too much detailed requirements often. And if we are going into that and we are doing some story point estimation that agile tells, then are we not doing the predictive thing
Okay.
again?
See, there are two
Instead of
things.
saying it hours, we are saying story points.
There are two things. One thing is the scenario which we are discussing is not overall agile. That's the one thing is it has various elements of agile missing, which is more about we will know as we go forward. That portion is missing. That portion is totally missing. So it is not a agile way of executing. That's the one thing. Now even with that, we are saying, can we do something here? We understand it's not agile, but can we get some benefit of agile? Then we can say, okay, looks like that your environment and your stakeholders don't want to get into agile, but they want to have incremental execution out of it. So it's not an ideal agile case, but it might exist. Now, when this thing exists, you don't have to stick to any story point or anything else. Like in a way, story point is a one way of estimating the work, which allows you to do in a progressive way some amount of sizing. It's not very structured. It doesn't require too much visualization of the work, so you can quickly get started with something. But many agile, especially in a contractual terms, where you have a complex and a multiple vendor environment, especially a multiple vendors when they interact, they use different mechanism of estimation as well. Some may end up using function points. Some may still believe on hour or ideal days, which some of the agile writers also talks about. So you may end up discovering something depending upon the context. Now, what we are discussing is, it is not something which you desire to have. Your desire is you want to get 7-8 people. Nobody cares about the cost initially. They only care about the idea. And they give you around 2-3 months where you sprint for 2 weeks. And then you bring up an idea. When the idea start getting materialized, then say, okay, let's figure it out, guys, how much time this idea will take to come into a working product. Yeah, that is, or a releasable product. That is a kind of thing you might visualize when you are visualizing the pure Scrum path. But what if the project has been released multiple times and somebody is just looking for another release? Then you have a lot of uncertainties taken care. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Yeah. Anything else? Now we are done with our backlog, it looks like. I am just checking the Jamboard and as well as the I think which were there in the chat box. Yeah, this is something which we are. So more ways to manage Scrum in a distributed and remote team environment. So nowadays, that's another comment which we go in our chat box. So nowadays, you do see distributed teams are becoming more and more reality. Even remote working is becoming more and more reality. So see, now you don't have a approach defined that this is how the people who are working remotely should do something. Yeah. But idea here is we need to see the essence of inspect and adapt and figure it out how probably we can do a sprint planning meeting when everybody is distributed or when everybody is remotely working. Are they working in the same time zone? Are they working in a different time zone? Do we have a cluster of people, that 2 people and 3 people at one location and 2 people and 3 people at another location? Or we have a fully dispersed people, you don't have any cluster and people are operating from different geography and time zone. So depending upon those conditions, you may come up with some of the patterns, the way you will do your various Scrum events, which are primarily meant for inspect and adapt. So you may come up with innovative sprint planning meetings ideas. Sometimes if you have two clusters, one cluster is in India and another cluster in another country, and the time gap is high, you may have a part of sprint planning done locally by these two clusters, and then you converge at a later stage. That could be a one pattern. Simplest pattern could be that you find an overlapping time, which is many time works in that particular way. So we need to figure out those patterns and design your facilitated meeting. The initial discussion which we were having about facilitating the Scrum events becomes more important there. So you need to go with the structure, you need to propose how it will go and how the steps will be taken care. Tools becomes important. Because the digital tool, so that be it simple like a Trello or be it more like a Jira or something else, but they will become important. Technology like Zoom and all these things will become important. So I would say you end up paying some tax of distributed teams, because your speed will be little slow in communication compared to if people are sitting face to face. But in some situation you don't have an option and you need to design your the whole thing as per the reality of your organization and teams. Yeah. So there are some articles which you can explore, which can help you to see these patterns about how to do a sprint planning meeting, how to do a sprint review, and there are some ideas. But final thing which you need to work with talk to the team and let them find out how best it can work for them. Okay. Yeah. I can see we have around 10-15 minutes. Yeah. So yeah, in case some questions are good, if not, then also we can think of yeah, something. Good. Yeah. Looks like yeah, go ahead. Someone is speaking. Yeah.
Yeah. So I recently did this CSM, with I purchased it from Iceland, and the reason for me was to understand agile more and understand this transformation. But I'm still not clear the path where I should be taking it up. So I read about more on the other roles, product owner, and even other like SAFe, this scaled agile framework, which I think may be more useful for me because working in an enterprise environment. So if you can, in a brief, can tell me about the difference between CSM and SAFe.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Perfect. Now, there are two things. Anyone want to talk about the difference between Scrum and SAFe before I share my idea? I give a group an opportunity. Yeah, go ahead.
That was my question too, actually. So,
okay. So we have two participants interested in this topic. Okay. Now, the way we do Scrum, it is primarily a small framework, guidance about how to do quick inspect and adapt in a smaller space. Now, I usually give this example, and in some context, it might fits well. In some context, you can see a little more detail. Say, if I want to open up a restaurant, new restaurant, I have never done food business. Yeah, what should I do? And what are my concerns? I may not know what to cook, what should be the menu, how to get vegetables, how to get so many things, and how to price my items. I have so much uncertainty in it. So initially, I need a very quick inspect and adapt, and I want to do small things. And that's a good place to do Scrum. You pick up an idea, you make for 2 weeks, you experiment few things, you experiment few recipe, you experiment few menu items, experiment some price. If it works, it's good. If it doesn't work, you change, and you keep doing that, inspect and adapt. Yeah, you run that particular thing. Now, assuming after say 6 months, things are stable now, your restaurant is working good. And now you start thinking, how do I take this success and make, say, 20 restaurants out of it? Yeah. And how do I scale it? Now, that part is a scaled agile. Yeah. Now, the problem and issues are different here. Now you are focusing on how do I bring alignment between all the 10 restaurants? How do I ensure that we can give a same taste, same quality food across the board? How can I ensure that we remain competitive and keep competing with the new entrant as well? And I want to have a proper alignment between these 10 restaurants and my strategy. I think there was a glitch in between. So So when I want to take this one restaurant to a 10 restaurant, I need to start thinking of SAFe. Now, how does it different? The Scaled Agile framework gives you explicit processes, roles to make multiple agile teams together as a one big agile release train. So that's the one segment which we call Essential SAFe. And the Scaled Agile framework also comes up with approaches, guidance about how do you align business strategy with execution. We have a lean portfolio management view so that it helps us in identifying what are the new initiatives and how do I align them so that execution remain in the space. So overall, the Scaled Agile with the version 5 is targeting towards business agility. It is saying, if you use SAFe, I make your company agile, not only the development team agile. And when I say I make your company agile, it means how can you as an organization change your strategy fast? How can you as an organization, you ensure whatever change I'm making in the strategy get executed, and I provide the complete framework towards that. So that's the market segment and niche of Scaled Agile. Yeah. So makes multiple agile and Scrum team, agile teams work together for a larger solution, and also ensure alignment between strategy and execution. Yeah. So top level, that's the difference. Now, as a carrier, how should I take it forward? I have been doing project management. I am doing Scrum. Can I do directly SAFe and all? Now, many of the Scaled Agile implementations are also happening direct waterfallish or some sort of agile to SAFe directly. So it's not like you have Scrum teams and then only you are coming to SAFe. Many large organizations are finding the Scaled Agile framework provides them little elaborated guidance, which they were always looking for, and they are directly jumping into a Scaled Agile implementation. Various agile survey organization do surveys on an annual basis, and most of these surveying organizations are showing Scaled Agile as a leading scaling framework year on year in their segment. So this is something you can. Okay, any specific question now? I stop here. Okay, Vidya, okay, let me make you panelist, yeah? So I'm promoting you to the panelist because you are using an older version of Zoom. So I make you the panelist. Now speak. Go ahead. Speak now, I can hear you if you speak. Can't hear. Yeah. Okay. Maybe we use chat box. Yeah. Anyone else on the SAFe thing till the time we see if she can find out how to start audio. Good. So as a career scope, I would say that if you have an experience of working in a large integration projects, and maybe with agile, without agile, that's not that much considering, because many of the organization, as I said, may directly jump to SAFe. So knowing SAFe and experimenting around SAFe might be a good idea in that case.
One last question from me. Do we have to wait like a couple of months to a year for advanced Scrum Masters training?
No. These all training organizations don't want you to lose. So they are ready, they are ready for the next month only, next day only. Okay, so this is how it works. So now between CSM and ACSM, there is no need to have a mandatory gap. One can do just the next day. The only thing which is recommended is you need to have a 1 year of experience working as a role in the Scrum Master. But that experience could be before doing CSM. So it could be just direct. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Now another question is Advanced Scrum Master and SAFe is same? The answer is no. Yeah. So Advanced Scrum Master is a Scrum Alliance product. It's a PepsiCo product, and Scaled Agile is a Scaled Agile product. It's a Coca-Cola product. Yes, and they are having little difference in the space as well. So one is that there is a completely different branding, and the Advanced CSM, primarily from a content point of view, focuses more on making you aware the role of a Scrum Master, teaches you how to facilitate Scrum events and all. So that's the role of an advanced Scrum Master. Now, when you talk about SAFe, we are generally talking about what is Scaled Agile Framework. We have not yet started talking about which particular certificate of SAFe. So when you think of a SAFe, the first thing you need to do is you need to identify which certification program I want to learn. Yeah. So each certification program has its own path. Just to know how SAFe operates, and you are not clear what role I will play in the SAFe program, but I want to be ready with the understanding of SAFe. If that is your goal, then they have a most popular certificate which sells the most in Scaled Agile called Leading SAFe with the SAFe Agilist certificate. So that is something one can explore if they see that, okay, I want to explore more on SAFe and go forward. Now, before doing that, I do encourage you to check some of my videos on SAFe. If you just write Scaled Agile Framework, you will find some of the videos on YouTube. There are many of mine and there are others also. So get a familiarity. And Scaled Agile Framework is a free framework. So you can visit scaledagileFramework.com. The complete framework is available to you. The only issue is that it's not that easy to navigate if you don't have an awareness that what it is. So it may take some time. So you may watch videos, browse the framework, and then decide, is this something which can help you? Is this knowledge and credential can help you in growing in your profile? If the answer is yes, then go for SAFe certification. Maybe start with the Leading SAFe. Yeah. Okay. We still have 8 minutes. Yeah. In our time box.
Until when are we expecting these online trainings to continue?
For which company you are talking?
No, I mean, these CSM I did because it was online provided, over the otherwise.
The new word.
SAFe also I'm trying to.
The new word may have a situation where these training may remain online forever. Yeah, there is a possibility now which many of us are seeing that way. Yeah. So again, but each certification body will take their own call. If I need to make a forecast, I'm not sure about Scrum Alliance. Yeah, the CSM onwards was always available online. So ACSM and everything was always available online. Before that also, CSM and CSPO was the only thing which was not available. But going forward, the SAFe Scaled Agile, I see a high probability that it may remain online for long or maybe forever. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. We have I think one more final question looks like. How Scrum is impacting PMO work? Now, first thing is, many times the PMO also becomes barrier in your agility if not handled well. So why I said that? Now, what happens when your team has been started following Scrum, but your PMO's matrices are still following something which they have been following from last 10 years. They still look for variance. They still look for all those things which were there already. And that can create a lot of confusion and impact. Now, first thing is we need to change that. And that is a role of a PMO. So how PMO works, and many times it is called Agile Center of Excellence or a Lean Agile Center of Excellence in the word of Agile and Scrum. The essence is they are, again, champions of Agile practices, ensuring that people take best use of the framework, the tools which we have in the organization. They start learning from each other and come up with a new way of measuring things. So rather than using the old ways, what are the concern areas now and how can we help organizations doing and team doing better, inspect and adapt? So they may come up with a new way of proposing, I would say, the measurement system or matrices and all. So it's a huge work, and I do see now, like Agile Manifesto is, I get say, like 19 years, around 20 years old. So the whole process is towards maturity, and many organization has Agile Center of Excellence. So PMO has a space now with a new approach. Yeah. Great. So thank you. So I would like to thank you all for participating here. and first participating in our CSM class. For relevant matrices, I would say that you just do a Google. There are many matrices. So we have videos on YouTube which talk about top 10 agile matrices. You can look at it. If you don't find, drop us an email. If you want to see exhaustive lists of matrices, then visit scaledagileFramework.com and find a matrix icon, click there. So even though they are primarily a SAFe matrix, but many of those metrics may also be useful in generic agile environment as well. So you can drop us an email and we can share those ideas with you. Great. And
Saket, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you finally.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really thanks to have this webinar, and I'm very excited to be a part of your team always, because I could not get a chance to share my introduction before. I did take the PMP class with you. I finished in my first attempt. I love the training you do. I think any training Saket has, I always sign up, I guess. And that's how I signed up for the CSM. Mm-hmm. And I think Kamlesh was there. It was good too, but I think I was really waiting for your thing. And I think I already have signed up the PMI ACP. I know there's no relation going on what I'm trying to do, but my passion is mostly like a project management and with a little bit of agility in between there, like, you know, and I work here in Austin, Texas for government. I'm a lead programmer there. And we don't use any agile concept there, but it doesn't mean that you have to use those words when you're, leading the projects. So that's what I always try to get from your instructions or your tutoring. Okay, I am not using agile, but I wanted to implement the agile principles in my office. Just keeping, I feel like this is more disciplined.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's one of the reasons, like, I do that. And the PMI ACP is my next goal, like, hopefully maybe in a couple of months. But because, as some of our friends saying that, like, because this is a virtual session, I signed up the CSM. It's a 2 days. Why not? That's part of that's part of the PMI ACP also. I mean, like,
the contents are same. Yeah.
The contents are the same, and that's where my journey is. Like, first initially totally too much into the PMP, and immediately after that I did the PMP. Okay, no, PMI ACP probably.
Great.
I think.
Great.
I don't know if I'm confused.
No. Perfect. Now, I do want to make a point here, and I think it's a very important point for some of the discussion which we had before in this conversation. What I personally see is, all these frameworks after some point in time start merging with each other, and these concepts start merging with each other, and ultimately you will see, okay, this is something new coming up. But I see myself, the PMBOK is becoming agile with each version. The PMBOK 6 was quite agile, and the future PMBOK will be more agile. And if you see a reverse thing, the scaling agile frameworks or a big agile frameworks also including a lot of ideas which were great in project management, program management, quality management before. So what I see is the agile frameworks are picking up the ideas which are needed to take the agile at a large scale, and the traditional project and PMI frameworks are picking up agile to make their current project way of doing into more flexible and lean. So maybe after a few years, it's difficult to differentiate that, okay, the PMBOK framework is not agile. I believe the PMBOK 6 itself is a significant agile. But going forward, there will be a more and more integration. So people, and this is for all of you, whoever is thinking of, okay, even with CSM, doing PMP is a perfect thing to do. There is nothing like a bad religion there. It's a perfect thing to do because you start understanding the broader perspective and you can apply agility there as well. And the reverse is also true. If you have been in project management, program management, learning about agility always helps you to move forward.
So thank you very much for all your videos. I'm a big fan of it. Anytime you open a new course, probably I don't look for the need of the course in my career. I'll just go ahead and sign up. And it's very much like I feel like an honor to be in this one, and I would love to participate in the coming webinars and get my questions clarified in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, and thank you everyone for participating and first enrolling to the program. I do intend to do this thing more frequently. So wait for our next invite. Maybe that time you have more questions because you might have explored few more ideas by that time. Yeah. So we close. Yeah, Namita, we close. And
I want to thank you from my side. Thank you all for attending this session. And thank you, Saket sir, for giving your valuable time. And if you guys want to move forward towards your Scrum and Agile journey, you can explore our website and for more courses. And for any queries, you can drop an email to sales@eisenbridge, and any query related to mastering Agile and e-learning. So you can drop an email to support@eisenbridge. So thank you very much. Take care. Be safe.
bye, guys. Yeah, bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.